So this will correspond to section 12.2 in the textbook. So when we create a function, that is like creating a new command in Python. We use the word def, and we use a command, and we use a name over here to define the command. For instance, this is a new command that just simply, when invoked or called, would print out hello. So let's go ahead and call it hello. So I'm going to run this in our Python interpreter. Just simply slam it in line by line, and there, hello. We could do it a couple times. Hello, hello. Let's run the whole program. Let's go ahead and show what happens when we run the whole program. Boom, boom. So this is just a very, very simple function. We can add more lines inside of this function, right? Which we would do like this. Hello, how are you? Question mark. Let's go ahead and invoke the function. Again, invoke is that magical word that we use when we use a function. That we use that word when we use a function, when we want to call it. It makes us sound like we're wizards or something. So we like the word invoke. Sometimes it's called called. Sometimes we call the function. But here we're invoking the function, and what happens when we do line 5 is that basically it says, I'll use the command that was defined in line 1, which had these two functions over here. These two print statements over here, not functions. So technically print statements are functions. They're just ones that are built in. Hello, how are you? Right. So the interpreter basically works like this. It reads def hello, colon, and it says, aha, the user's defining a function. So whatever's indented inside of here is going to be part of that function. It's 2 lines, print hello. So whenever I see this, I'm going to call these commands over here. Fairly straightforward stuff. One thing that you'll see in the textbook is something called a docstring, which is these 3 quotation marks over here. Typically, when you simply put, when you have documentation or you want to put down where what the function does, convention is to put it over here. What's cool about triple quotes is that it's a string. Anything you do in it, right? It's essentially a multi-line string. You can even use single quotation marks, because it says when you use triple quotes, anything that begins with 3 quotes, it will not end. It's a string that will not end until it sees 3 quotes in a row. So it's really cool. Now the convention of putting your comment over here is just simply because that there are built-in things in Python and other programming tools that when you're building documentation, like you've seen for Turtle, this is what it will look at to see what does this function do. So that's pretty cool. Now we can also functions, mind you, don't really do too much unless you actually have them. Functions are a bit boring, is what I'm trying to say, unless you actually give them parameters, which are additional arguments. So here, if I will say, for instance, let's go ahead and use one from the textbook. So I'm going to go ahead and copy it over here. We're going to import Turtle. And this one's draw a square. I'm going to go ahead and call it Bob. And then makes Turtle Bob draw a square with side size. And what it will do is that it will do the following thing four times. Make the turtle move forward. And then make him turn left. So what we'll do over here is that we're going to say Bob is equal to... I'm going to say, actually, let's call it Alice is equal to turtle.turtle. And then let's tell Alice to draw a square. Now, one thing to know is the difference of the variables. All right, and I've gone over this in class before, but I want to make sure you understand it. right? Here we've created a turtle and essentially put it in a box named Alice, or we've applied the name tag Alice to it, depending on the paradigm you want to use. Point is that Alice is a variable that we can use to refer to the square to this turtle. However, once we pass it in as a parameter, basically we're saying, okay, we're taking in a turtle and a number. So this turtle that we take in, I'm going to give it the name Bob. And it will exist, and the name Bob only exists inside here. That doesn't mean that Alice doesn't exist. It just means inside this function, the name tag, or the box that we look in for the turtle, is labeled Bob. Same with size over here. So it doesn't... So, we do this, draw a square, and it terminates because I didn't do turtle.done, which is perfectly fine. So, they are two parameters. So we gave it two parameters. By the way, it's not going to really work if I do it the other way around. Python is weakly typed here, meaning that it doesn't check the types until it needs them. And then it says, hey, you can't move forward using an integer because... Or sorry, you can't move forward using an integer, right? Bob is an integer. You can't call .forward on it. So that's going to go ahead and be a bit of a trick. So, use this. Use the functions or use the parameters in the order you define them. Valid syntax. What did I do? Nothing. There we go. So, it is fairly straightforward. We're going to go into more detail in the next couple videos.